From the TLV1 studios in Tel Aviv, Israel, it's Louis Live. That's just me, Ari Louis. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is well. This is Louis Live on TLV1 Tuesday night edition. We have a great show. Later on in the program, we have on Alan Shlomo Veingrad, who played for the 1993 Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys, the sports rabbi to talk about some Israel golf, Radio Mike to talk about Dimitri Salitas' next fight, some soccer talk, and much more. But our first guest of the evening is from Eurobasket, good friend of the program, David Doobie Pick. Doobie, welcome to Louis Live on TLV1.
Ari, hi. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the big Cup final game between Maccabi Tel Aviv and, of course, Hapoel Yerushalayim. Maccabi victorious 88-77. Sylvan Landesberg, 21 points. Talk about Sylvan's performance of the ballgame.
I think Sylvan came in this summer with a different mindset, not having to prove himself as much as he thought he needed to last year. You can obviously see that David Blatt, by the minutes that he's given Sylvan this preseason, that we're going to see a different Sylvan, this rotation for Maccabi this year. He's become more of a pinnacle piece to their puzzle on the offensive end, and his athleticism and his game smarts really help on a defensive end, and I think that he's really progressed over the summer.
You know, there's been some talk, perhaps, potentially playing in the NBA, had a great college career a couple years ago with Maccabi Haifa, even though the team was not so good. A lot of people thought Sylvan was one of the best players in the league, if not the best. Is there a chance he could win the MVP this season for the Israeli Super League?
Well, I think if he wasn't the first, then he was definitely the second best scorer in the Israeli League with Maccabi Haifa a few years back. But being the best player in the league, I think it's a bit too big of a jump for Sylvan in his second year with Maccabi.
All right, fair enough there. And going to Hapoel Yerushalayim's side, Brad Greenberg, who coached Maccabi Haifa to a title last year, he's with the Jerusalem squad now, and he seemed pretty, I don't know what the right word is, politically correct in the press conference. I kind of thought it is what it is, that right now that Hapoel Yerushalayim is not a better team than Maccabi Tel Aviv, could give them a run for the money, obviously, in the season. What are your thoughts about Coach Greenberg coming to Yerushalayim and coaching the ball club?
Well, first of all, good eye, Ari. Good eye. I think Coach Greenberg to Jerusalem is a smart move for both parties. About the roster that they built, I think it was built poorly. Jerusalem's missing a go-to guy, a creative guard, someone who can really take the ball into the lane at will. I think they're lacking that kind of player, and I also think Ronald Dupree is a really good pickup, but I think he's a poor shooter, and I don't think on Jerusalem's team they have a natural shooter who can really space up the floor and allow the bigs to really play their game in a less crowded lane, so to speak. But I mean, overall, the names are really good names. Brad, really, you can see his fingerprint on this team that he built, as opposed to last year with Haifa. But they dropped the first game of the season, which was unexpected, and they got Euro Cup tomorrow against a Bulgarian team, which is also a great team. And no one in Jerusalem thought they'd start 0-2.
Certainly a surprise, and you were talking about that he had his fingerprints on this team. Do you think that was the main reason he came to Yerushalayim? And why did he leave Maccabi Haifa? They just won a title. Obviously, they lost some pieces. But what was your take on why he went to Jerusalem?
Well, I don't think the majority of the people in Haifa organization were sold on working with Brad Greenberg for another year. I know he wanted a substantial raise, which is legit for a coach who just won a championship.
Right. Yeah. Usually you want to raise after a title. Sure.
Right. So they weren't really on board with that. And I think Jerusalem, with the pieces he has and the budget that organization has, which is somewhat relatively double the other teams in Israel, but still, let's not go crazy. I think building a team from scratch was something that was very important to him.
This is a guy, Coach Greenberg, and I've interviewed a few times, obviously, former general manager of the 76ers, drafted Allen Iverson #1, has certainly been around the block in the NBA and in college. do you see certain goals? I mean, he already won a title. What other goals is he trying to establish a dynasty with Jerusalem? What do you see from Coach Greenberg here in Israel?
Well, I think consistency is the most important thing when it comes to teams and a team sport. And, Brad Greenberg signed a 3-year deal with Jerusalem, and people at the beginning were saying, he's just coming to Israel for 1 year. He's kind of a one and done. We're never going to hear from him again. I mean, he signed a 3-year deal, and he showed that his intentions are to stay. And even more so, the players he's been playing this preseason up until Sunday's game, including Sunday's game, he's allowed the 18-year-old kids on Jerusalem who are at the bottom of the salary cap in that team to play a substantial amount of minutes. I mean, he turned these prospects into legit league players. And I think he wouldn't have done that if he thought his job was on the line and he had to win every single game.
So do you feel the 3-year contract gives him a bit of cushion, a bit of breathing room? They're 0-2, as you mentioned?
Absolutely.
All right, we're speaking with David Duby-Pick from Eurobasket. And going back to the Cup game, we didn't see Yaniv Green, Yotam Halpern, obviously. How much would that have affected the ball game had they been able to contribute and play?
I mean, based on what we saw in the league that they lost while playing, then obviously not a lot.
Right.
But it's not true. I mean, really looks can be deceiving. Yotam Halpern didn't participate in the full practice for over 2.5 weeks. Building up until that game, and Yaniv Green really only played 6 minutes, suffering a strained shoulder, which was really aggravating him. So, I mean, neither guys are 100%, even though I really expect them to have a bigger role heading into tomorrow's Euro Cup game.
All right, David Duby-Pick here on Lewis Live and TLV1. Of course, you can check out Duby's work on Eurobasket. Duby, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it, and we will speak with you throughout the season. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. Thanks a lot for having me.
Back here on Lewis Live on TLV1. Of course, you want to find out more about our station via Twitter, you can do so at TLV1.fm. If you want to email me personally, that's Ari Louis Show at hotmail.com, ARILOUIS show@hotmail.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook as well. Our next guest of the evening is a football legend here in Israel and played college football as well. Please give a warm Louis Live welcome to Big Mike Gondelman. Big Mike, how you doing out there?
Thank the good Lord, brother. How you doing?
Doing good as well. And this is a new audience. Of course, I've interviewed you several times, but because this is a new audience, I want you to tell this group a bit about your playing career in college. You obviously played football at a very high level, so tell us about that.
I played college football down in Troy, Alabama. Defensive tackle, nose guard position. Had some good days, had some bad days. Played a little semi-pro football for the Dauphin Chiefs. I don't know. It's just loved playing football, and it was like being a big guy. I kind of got, the gift of being able to play at a Division I level. So
played. Obviously, there are not too many people on the planet who play Division I football, especially here in Israel, and you've incorporated that with the Jerusalem Kings. Tell us about the Kings and how long they've been in existence in the IFL.
Well, the Kings came into existence in the second year of the IFL. Originally, the IFL started with 4 teams. And, the Kings were the 5th team. We made the playoffs the first year. Every year we've been in the playoffs, which is pretty good.
Yeah, not bad.
I haven't actually advanced far in the playoffs. We haven't won a championship yet, but, it sounds like this year is going to be our year. We got a good team. A lot of good veterans who are returning. We got a lot of great new guys who are there, So, our O-line and D-line is looking pretty stout. And, it's like the game is won on the line. So.
Yeah, well, you called your shot before, but you're more confident in this team than the other teams in the past.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing is that we don't have a John Rubin.
There's not too many John Rubins out there. And for those who know, John Rubin was a star a few years ago, he won the MVP in 2010 and played both offense and defense. He was really sensational. Let's before we talk about this season, let's get a recap on the end of last season. As you mentioned, made to the playoffs. You guys win on a Hail Mary against Dr. Keith.
Hold on. Yeah. Before you start with that win on the Hail Mary thing, that was a hard-fought battle, and quite frankly, that was probably the finest football game, that I've ever been a part of. So my hat's off to the Hammers. They were amazing. It's like that was a great game. We went back and forth, especially in the fourth quarter. We were winning with 2 minutes left to go, and then we're losing, and then we win it on the Hail Mary.
Okay, so to clarify that, but it was probably a good feeling to beat the Hammers. They only had 2 losses. They had Dr. Keith Noble, who played college football at The Ohio State, and you guys beat them. I'm sure that was a tremendous bus ride back.
That was. It was a great bus ride back.
Now,
it was phenomenal. That was just an amazing game. Listen, everybody left it on the field. So,
and then you guys.
It was funny because
go ahead.
The funny thing about it is, we left Jerusalem, and it was so cold we were able to see our own breath, and then we get off the bus in Ramat, and it's everybody's sweating.
Right.
We were prepared for the winter, and wait, what, it was so hot. A couple of our guys, including myself, were suffering from dehydration.
It was that whole hot playoffs. Obviously, there was a game in Tel Aviv University that had 100-degree temperatures Fahrenheit. So that was a hot part of the year and a hot part of the area of Israel, of course. Now, you guys go to the semifinals. You guys lose. What did you take from that experience? They beat you pretty good, to be honest, but they ended up winning the championship. That's, of course, the Tel Aviv Sabres.
I'll tell you like this. When we played the Tel Aviv Sabres, we were beat up. The Hammer game beat us up, severely. A lot of our star players were not playing because of, for instance, one of our star defensive backs was a guy by the name of Moshe Shore, who was returning this year.
Right.
He didn't play against the Sabres. That's not to take anything away from the Sabres, because we got beat pretty handedly. But the reality is that we didn't have a full boat against them. Majority of the guys were going both ways, and we literally did not have the. I don't want to say the talent level. We didn't have after the Hammer game. It was we just didn't have it in us at that point.
All right, so certainly gassed after that game. And Moshe Shore is a tremendous player. I've seen him play multiple times. You guys have him. You have Ari Weisbord. But do they have you, Big Mike? Are you coming back this season? We heard rumors of retirement. Are you coming back? And that's on the show if you are.
Well, as the Brett Favre of the IFL, I retire every year. I want you to know. It's I'm that's it. I'm done. I'm too old for this. I'm a business owner. I'm a father of 4. It's I'm a husband. I work crazy hours. It's and every fall I'm all right, no, I guess I'm playing again.
It's hard to give up. It's hard to give up, right, Big Mike? Especially a guy that's you played your whole life. This is what you do. It's hard to give it up.
Yeah, but see, there's a difference between playing in the IFL than playing in college.
I'm sure, yeah.
Right, like like college was, when I played in college, it was a business. The whole idea was about either getting to the next level or like you're playing for something, like you have a scholarship, and it's like, you get a full ride. It's like to play college football, but they can take away that scholarship. So you have to perform at a certain level in order to keep your scholarship.
Wow.
And it's.
I didn't realize the pressure. This will sound very competent. I didn't realize that they actually do take away scholarships. I know they have that threat. I didn't realize that does happen. That threat's on the line.
Right, so they did do that. Like I remember, we had this guy who, he was a backup center and a long snapper for Troy. His name escapes me right now, but I remember, like, as a center, he was garbage. Like, he was horrible as an offensive lineman. Like, he just, a lot of it had to do with his lack of size and strength and speed. But as a long snapper, he was pretty good. Like, he wasn't so good in the short snapping, but, it is what it is. But what happened, though? They found a long snapper who was better, and the guy could play guard. And in a pinch, he was also able to play center, and he was better than him. So they took away his scholarship.
Wow.
And it was just like things like that did happen.
Wow. You're talking about going on a football field, you don't perform, and you might not have an education. That's certainly a lot of pressure to play or speak with Big Mike Galdeman of the Jerusalem Canes, who will be playing this season. And before we let you go, Big Mike, you obviously run the Sober House. That's one of the things that you are famous for. I think it's a great organization, a great cause. Tell the folks a bit about that. Go ahead.
So the Jerusalem Sober House is a program that, me and my partner, we started about a year and a half ago. Basically, there was no Shomer Shabbos, Shomer Kashrut places in the world, that were like, that were designed for a drug addict. So what we did, it's like you have some places that like, that aren't, obviously you have a great place in Returno. But what we did was we did something a little different. They're more into the 2C model, and we're more of like, our model is based on like, trying to get guys working within society. So, we have more of a model where it's like, it's not a lockdown facility. It's like people are there, like they're like this daily groups. There's one-on-one. There's, obviously, 12-step meetings are mandatory, like AA, NA, that kind of thing. It really is an amazing program. We've been very successful so far. We've had great results, and I'm very happy with amazing staff. It's like, I take none of the credit. It's all on my staff. They're amazing people.
Well, it's a great cause, and everyone should check it out to support in some way, or if you feel you need to go, obviously then go. That's your personal business.
Sure. Listen, listen. I'll tell you like this. It is an amazing thing. We do accept donations though for anyone who wants to give. They can go to our website, and donate it on the website. JerusalemSoberHouse.com.
There you go.
But it's they can check out our program, see what we do. People can, call. We have a phone number on the website. They can call us up, and, if they know somebody, we're always willing to help out and lend a hand.
All right, and we'll leave with this, Big Mike. Jets 3-3, Geno Smith. They making the postseason, baby. Tell us.
I'll tell you like this. Before the season even started, even like they were talking about Sanchez being the starter, and we weren't talking playoffs then. We were talking, if we were 4-12, it would have been a miracle. It's like, at 3-3, people are like, oh my God, how could you lose to the Steelers? Blah, blah, blah. Listen, we are who we think we are.
Right.
It's like, who did we beat? Oh, we beat the Bills. Mazel tov. They've won 2 games? We beat like Atlanta. They won 1 game. And then we beat who else? What was that other team? Oh, that's right, Tampa Bay. On when the defender was an idiot.
Right.
Right. So like they have 3 wins between them. It's like it's not a big shocker. The fact that who we lost to. Now the fact of the matter is that Mike Tomlin has lost maybe 1 game after a bye the entire time. The Steelers actually started looking more like the Steelers for the first time this season. Now I'll tell you like this, against the Patriots though, we should have won that game. It's like it was ridiculous. If we didn't have those 3 interceptions in the fourth quarter, we would have won that game.
So there you go. So Jets looking good, and the Canes hopefully will look good as well. Big Mike, we got to run.
All right. Before you hang up, though,
yeah.
I do want to say the Kings are looking good, the Jets are looking good, and the Giants are not. So that's all. So I want to give a shout out to Neil Amrani on that one.
Yes, I'm sure Neil's listening in. All right, Big Mike, enjoy that. We're going to run on the other side, folks. Alan Shlomo Veingrad, Super Bowl champion winner with the Dallas Cowboys back in Super Bowl 27. This is Louis Live on TLV1.
Into a subaqueous environment produces pillow lava. Hydrostatic pressure of seawater tends to inhabit the vesicle size of the basalt. After the eruption, we lay dormant for a while.
All right, folks, that's why it's called Louis Live. We'll try to get in touch with Alan Shlomo Veingrad, hopefully in the next segment, but we certainly won't go down in stature, as our next guest of the evening is the sports rabbi, Yossi G, the sports rabbi. How you doing, sports rabbi?
Very good. Shalom, shalom. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for adjusting with us and coming on a little bit earlier. Let's talk about some Israel golf. There was a huge championship, obviously. And first, let's go to Hadass Liebman, because she goes to school in Baylor, United States, but she does represent Israel. So talk a bit about her performance.
Well, if you look at what has happened with Hadass and where she's gone with her career from where she started to where she is now, she grew up in Caesarea, so she definitely knows that course where she just won by 6 strokes, a couple days ago. So she knows the course, she knows the terrain, and as she said in her post tournament comments, that she felt really good to be back in Israel, back in the state of Israel, back on her home turf, her home soil. And when you look at the progression throughout her amateur career to where she is right now, it really, you kind of start thinking back to some of the really, really good LPGA stars, such as Annika Sorenstam, and also now with Michelle Wie, also where she has gone and to where she is at this point in time. It brings a lot of, good and positive vibes for the golf industry, or rather for the amateur and professional golf image in Israel, especially on the female circuit.
All right, so Hadass represent Israel well, represent females well, represent the Jewish female well here in Israel, and you mentioned this is her backyard, Caesarea. Let's talk about Asaf Cohen. He had a great comeback, and he is one of the best Israel golfers on the planet. It's kind of the name you think of a lot of times when you talk about Israel golf. So talk about Asaf's performance.
Well, when you look at what he had to do in order to come back, that was an epic come-from-behind performance to win by a stroke there on the last hole. And really, when you look at everything that had happened and where he was coming back from, I mean, you can chalk this up, a comeback for the ages, to just about any other golf comeback in the history of the sport, in the professional history of the sport. So really where he is, and he showed his grit, he showed his mettle. A lot of people knew who he is and who he was in terms of going out and putting out his best performance in the first couple days and really not having to worry about the pack behind him. But nobody really knew, or very few people knew, what type of performer he was in terms of playing from behind and trying to pull out his best Tiger Woods impersonation and being there at the end in the winner's circle, so to speak, once all is said and done.
Sir, obviously it's easy to play with the big lead, but your metal's truly tested when you have to come back. That's what Asaf Cohen did, and it was a pleasure to watch and see all of that. Let's talk about the young Israeli golfers, because those are the future. That's the youth. How do they compare to the other country young golfers on a global scale? Where is Israel at in that regard?
Well, golf in itself, I from what I understand as how it is in Israel, it's getting there. It's not quite where they want it to be, but it's certainly ahead of some of the other sports that are played in Israel that are not, so to speak, the soccer or the basketball. However, that being said, there is some ways away. Israel and the golf program there is a little bit of ways away from where they would like it to be in terms of comparing to, let's say, the South African programs or, for example, the European programs. But even so, that now with the talent that is there in Israel, with the talent that's out there, to be able to prove its own mettle against some of the best in the world at those at that level, at those ages, and at that stage, certainly helps for the future of golf in Israel and for the name. When you attach Israel next to some sport, usually you're thinking of basketball or soccer, but now there are other golfers who went there. You have the Europeans, the Italians, the Germans. They all know that now. When Israel comes to play in golf, they show up, and they can play. So we have to be careful for ourselves, as Europeans or as South Africans or even as Americans. We have to watch out for the Israelis because they can play, and they certainly showed up in this tournament.
There you go. It's all about the Israel Pride, Sports Rabbi, and that's what this show's about. We've had people from every single sport pretty much under the sun in Israel: curling, bobsledding, golf, tennis, on and on and on, and that's what this show's about. And Sports Rabbi, a couple things before we let you go. I want to talk about the International Olympic Committee. Now, they're talking about making golf a sport. What is the latest, making it a Olympic sport. It's already a sport, whether the Olympic considers it or not. What is the latest in that regard?
So the International Olympic Committee, now I love golf and all, but there are some things that you don't do in terms of the Olympics. And one of them is put golf into the Olympics. And they voted for it. Their secret ballot, 25 ballots were cast. And of course, there are no numbers exactly what it was, whether it was 25-0 or 13-12. No matter which way you look at it, now coming up for Rio in 2016, you have golf now as an official Olympic sport. The issue that I have with that, and a lot of people that I've been speaking to also have, is forget about the possibility and likelihood that some of the voters were bribed. Forget about that. That is, of course, goes without saying. But when you look at some of the sports that have always been Olympic strongholds, and they've always been at the Olympics, one specifically comes to mind, and that is wrestling. And the reason why this is such a big deal is because wrestling has always been there. It's been part of the modern-day Olympics since the first games in Athens, and because golf now is an Olympic sport or has become an Olympic sport, what the wrestling had to get pinched, and it's no longer an Olympic sport, no longer an Olympic event. When you look at what wrestling represents for mankind, for humans, people have always said to one another oh, you look pretty big. I look pretty big. You know what? I want to take you down to the ground. I mean, that's always happened.
Yeah.
People have always gone up against one another and have either, let's race to Tilvira, or let's see who could swim fastest. Things like that.
Yeah,
Golf.
it's in the X chromosomes or whatever us men have. Yeah, we're Neanderthals
Yeah,
at heart.
and golf only came about after a couple of Scottish, sheep herdsmen decided that they would invent this game.
Right.
And now, once you have, let me ask you this: when you have a golfer who goes, let's say a Rory McIlroy, who goes and plays at the Olympics and has a chance to compete for Olympic gold, is that going to be the highlight of his year, or will winning a green jacket at the Masters be the highlight of his year?
There you go. With golf, the Masters is the tournament. That's where everyone thinks about the entire year. They're not going to consider the Olympics so high. That'll be second effect. And as you mentioned, hey, at the end of the day, men, they're going to do – golf is basically too classy for us men, right, Sports Rabbi? Is that what you're trying to say, too?
You could say that. I think that's like my retirement game.
There you go. That's what when we retire, we'll hit a couple golf balls. All right, Sports Rabbi, we got to run. You can check out the Sports Rabbi show on allnoiseradio.com. Check out the Sports Rabbi. He's the Sports Rabbi. Sports Rabbi, God bless you, baby. We'll talk soon. Thanks so much, man.
All right, my pleasure.
All right, on the other side, we hope we'll have Alan Shlomo Veingrad. He's a very busy man. Hopefully get in touch with him. So find out. That's why it's Lewis Live. Tell V1 after this.
to be part of the wave. Can't stop, ever wonder if it's all for you. The world I love, the trains I hop to be part of the wave. Can't stop, come and tell me when it's time to. Sweetheart is bleeding in the snow cone. So smart she's leaving.
Back here on Lewis Live on TLV1, our thanks to the Sports Rabbi Yossi G. And on the line right now, this is really a pleasure. He is a champion, not just in life, but on the football field as well. Please give a warm Lewis Live welcome to Alan Shlomo Veingrad. Mr. Veingrad, how you doing out there?
Hey, how are you? Hello, everybody.
You know, I've interviewed you several times, but this is a new audience here on TLV1, so I want you to tell them your story of first college football, because you were not that heavily recruited to play college football, and you not only play college football, you play in the NFL and win a Super Bowl title. So tell us about that journey and all the bumps and bruises along the way.
Okay, sure, my pleasure. Thank you. Well, you know, I was an intimidating-looking figure. I was trying to explain to my son that I really wasn't I was not a dominant high school athlete. I was tall, and you put on a uniform on a tall, skinny guy, you look kind of intimidating, but I wasn't a very good runner, and I just didn't have great coordination. But what I had was I had a tremendous love for the weight room, and I love lifting weights. And, you know, as I'm sharing with my son and others, I just spent a lot of time lifting weights and developing, you know, good technique and power, and all those weight exercises helped me with my speed and my power. And when I finally did get a college scholarship to a small school in Northeast Texas called East Texas State, that scholarship was only awarded to me really based on my ability to throw the shot put and discus. I had a love for track and field as well, and the coach told me, you know, some years after, we didn't give you a scholarship for your football abilities. We gave it because we knew that you were an athlete based on you throwing the discus further than anybody in South Florida.
But it took me a number of years until really my junior year when I developed myself to where I put on about 40 pounds and I continued putting all those exercises into the weight room. I started to play football at a much higher level than I've ever experienced, which gave me the ability to try out in the National Football League.
And in the National Football League, you played for the Packers and, of course, the Dallas Cowboys, won a Super Bowl title there. And you were one of the reasons Emmitt Smith got the rushing title, and he was very happy with his linemen, took care of his linemen. So tell us a bit about that season and the present that Mr. Smith got you.
Sure. It seems it's a topic everybody loves to hear that kind of a story because it's such a personal thing. During 1991, it was my first year with the Dallas Cowboys after playing in Green Bay for 5 years. I was hired to play on the team as a veteran player because I was able to play a number of different positions. So during 1991, we had a tremendous offense, a tremendous team, on all sides of the football, special teams, defense, obviously offense, not only with a tremendous running attack, we also had a great passing attack with Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin and Jay Novacek, which really gave us the ability to be multi-dimensional and run the football very successfully. So after that season, Emmitt Smith awarded all the offensive linemen, both the tight ends and the fullback, Daryl Johnston, known as the Moose, a beautiful Rolex watch, and he inscribed on the back of it, to Alan, thanks for the 1,563 yards, 1991 rushing title, number 22, Emmitt Smith, which is a prized possession, and I probably wear it more than my Super Bowl ring.
Wow. A great story. Of course, we'll speak with Alan Shlomo Veingrad. And your religious journey obviously is very fascinating as well. In Green Bay, you got more involved with your Judaism, and that led, of course, to being Shomer Shabbat and so on and speaking. So tell us about that journey as well.
Sure, absolutely. My life is your typical American Jewish boy's life. If you take out my sports career, where the bar mitzvah for most American Jews is really the exit out of Judaism, not the entrance into Judaism.
Right.
So it was really close to 10 years after my bar mitzvah when I was now a Green Bay Packer and a businessman in Green Bay, saw that I made the football team. He read about me in the local papers. He also read about me in the Jewish press, that I was one of 5 Jews in the National Football League. So he reached out to me, took me out to lunch, and said during lunch, how about coming to synagogue with me and my family for Rosh Hashanah? And I couldn't say no to that. The guy was sitting there buying me lunch, offering to help me find an apartment, offering to help me meet people and invest my money properly and save my money. So I went to a Rosh Hashanah service, and it's during that service that the reading of the Hebrew, the reading of the Torah, kind of stirred something up inside of me. However, I didn't know what that was, and it was really 10 years after that point when I was retired and married, when I went to a cousin's house for your traditional Friday night meal, where he said to me, my cousin, how about going to a Torah class? And I said I would go to one class, and that one class really led me on a 10-year journey, exploring and looking into, my life and how my life didn't really provide me a lot of meaning and purpose until I started to put on tefillin every day and started to observe Shabbos.
All right, last question. I'm sorry we had to have the segment so short. I'll have to obviously have you on again. But last question, would people want to hear you speak? I know you go on speaking tours. What's the best way they can contact you and find out more about you?
Sure, they can email me at alan@alanveingrad.com or go to my website, alanveingrad.com, and I'll spell my name, ALAN, V as in Victor, EIN, G for George, RAD.com, and I'll respond, and it'd be a pleasure to. And I'm a big fan of your shows, and I always appreciate you reaching out to me, and I'd be happy to come on anytime that you have an open slot.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate the compliment. Have a great year. Shana Tova to you, and we will be in touch. Thank you so much.
All the best to you. Thanks. Okay, a pleasure. Be well.
All right. Wow, I get a compliment by Shlomo Veingrad. That's pretty nice. We're going to take a musical interlude. On the other side, Mark Gordon and David Z. Harris live from Montgard Stadium to talk the big soccer match tonight. This is Louis Live on TLV1. Back here on Louis Live on TLV1. Once again, if you want to get in touch with me personally, you can do so through my email, arilouisshow@hotmail.com, ARILOUISSHOW @hotmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook, and of course, find the station on Twitter @TLV1.FM. We're going to now switch gears to talk about some football, also known as soccer, with Mark Gordon. Mark, I'm sorry we don't have the Oasis for you, but I hope you still are happy.
I'm always happy.
Yeah.
How's it going?
You're always happy because you're on my show. That's what makes you happy.
Yeah, I've got nothing better to do on a Tuesday evening. Or is it Monday?
Well, yeah, today is Tuesday, and thank you for that. Now, you're at Ramat Stadium because Israel is taking on Ireland tonight, and what's the crowd looking like so far? You're live at the stadium, so go ahead.
Yeah, I'm live at Ramat Stadium. Israel is taking on Ireland. See, as you can hear,
there's a
really
hooligan in the back. I understand there's a soccer hooligan.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
sorry to all the listeners. No, it's wonderful here. We were actually in the end with the Northern Ireland fans. We're a guest of the Irish FA, thank you very much. And, there's a sea of green. There's lots of men with tight green T-shirts, and you can see them coming round their corner when their belly sticks out long before they turn off. There's a lot of very pasty-faced, ginger-haired men with very red faces heading into the game at the moment.
Are you afraid of your safety that you're around the Irish fans? Does that
no, I'd be more afraid of my safety with the Israeli fans because after a while, when they walk in front of you, you're tempted to hit them. Whereas in the Northern Ireland end, they're all very well behaved. It's amazing to think that there's probably 1,000 people come from Northern Ireland all the way to the game. Their team have got nothing to play for. They lost to Luxembourg and Azerbaijan in the last month, who are two of the worst teams in European football. Yet all these people have come all this way just to see them play Israel. My guess is, they'll probably lose again.
Wow, all right. And the stadium at capacity, how many seats does that fill, and how many people are you expecting to come to the game?
When you say capacity, the stadium holds 42,000. We'll be lucky to get 10,000 here tonight, I think.
Wow.
The Northern Irish end is busy. The rest of the stadium is looking very, very bare.
Right.
And it's a late kickoff as well, which gives people plenty of time to come after work. But still, it's very, very empty.
Isn't that
about time? It's about time the Israeli FA start moving the games back to Teddy Stadium.
Yeah, I was about to say, isn't that kind of sad? I mean, if there are 10,000 fans and 1/10 of them are Irish fans who came from Northern Ireland, doesn't that make Israel pretty bad?
It does. I mean, it is a game with no meaning. Neither Israel nor Northern Ireland could qualify. So to some extent, there's nothing to play for. The Israeli fans, I think, it's early for them. Kickoff's at 8 o'clock. Why would they want to be there before 8:30?
Yeah, it's like an LA crowd or something like that. We're speaking with Mark Gordon, who's with David C. Harris, by the way, of course, two of the biggest soccer expertise around. Now, what do you expect from the game? You expect Northern Ireland to lose, but are you expecting any particular star performances, or are they going to... Go ahead.
There's a guy behind me with a pita and hummus and chilies in that. And if this Irish guy can eat it, that's going to be the performance of the night, I think. Because, the chilies here are quite hot. Seriously, the Northern Ireland team have, I think, 3, maybe 4 players in the Premier League, and these are not regular starters. It's a team that plays a couple of divisions below the top level. Their goalkeeper is a player called Roy Carroll, who's 36, played for Man United about 10 years ago, and now plays in the Greek First Division. So it's a really, really poor team. In saying that, Northern Ireland, I think, have had some good results, like Israel against Portugal and Russia. They've looked solid. But at the same time, when it comes to playing the likes of Azerbaijan, they've let it all go. So it's one of those games that can go either way. I think Israel have got a little bit more quality, particularly up front. Eden Ben Bassat has scored in the last 5 qualifying games. So I think that's already a record. But, I think if he scores again, you're going to need to start looking at the European record books to see if anybody scored in 6 qualifying games in a row. Eden Ben Bassat playing in France at the moment.
All right. Also, you're talking about the fans coming. I can't get over that. The 1,000 fans travel from Northern Ireland. You were talking about their T-shirts, their bellies out. Has anyone painted themselves? I mean, give us some imagery of what they look like.
Well, what I can see is a lot of bright green wigs. There's people with white makeup and green crosses on their face. It's just a sea of green, really. Green check flags. The Irish kit is green. The away kit is either blue or white. The thing that strikes you is just the green. There's a load of young lady soldiers that have just walked in like an olive green. and they look very dull in comparison to the sort of bright green of the Northern Irish shirt.
Wow.
It really is sort of an electric colour. There's just a lot of happy people. We've not seen any trouble at all. I think people have come, they're on holiday, they're going to enjoy themselves, and if they follow their team, 2,000 miles from Northern Ireland to see them in a game that means nothing, then I think they've come to enjoy themselves.
All right, last question before we let you go and let you enjoy the game. You think that Israel will be victorious. What score do you think will be of the game?
I don't know. The thing about Northern Ireland is they really don't have much up front, so I'll be lucky if they score a goal. I think Israel will score one, maybe two. I think the trouble with Israel is when they're in a game where they're expected to win, they'll start to overcomplicate it. They'll overpass. They'll try and do clever things. And I think, a lot of moves will break down a bit too early. So my prediction is 1-0.
And we talked about with David C. Harris last week that Israel players tend to be kind of selfish and want to be the star and not play as a team. So do you expect that to happen tonight as well?
Always. And I expect to see at least 4 or 5 Israelis rolling around on the floor, holding their knee like they're being shot when the ball hits them. I remember when I went to see the under-21 game, the ball hit them in their face and they would be rolling on the floor. Now, this is football, where you're also supposed to head the ball, not fall on the floor when it hits you. So, I expect to see plenty of that.
Wow. All right. Great stuff. Telling it like it is, not holding back any punches. Mark Gordon, enjoy the game. Say hi to David C. Harris, of course, and I'll see you on Facebook probably in like an hour or something.
See you soon. Thanks, Owen.
All right.
All right.
That was Mark Gordon. We're going to take a musical interlude. On the other side, the last guest of the evening, Radio Mike, to talk about Dimitri Salita's next fight. Don't miss that. This is Louis Live on TLV1.
You can't stop a man from lying. You can't stop a little girl from time. No, you can't. No.
Back here on Louis Live on TLV1, and our thanks to Mark Gordon, who was live from Ramat Stadium. We're going to switch gears and talk some boxing with a good friend of Louis Live back in the Israel Sports Radio days. Here he is now on TLV1, Radio Mike. Radio Mike, how you doing out there?
Okay, thank God. Very well. How are you?
Doing great, and our good friend Dimitri Salita back where he's supposed to be in the ring fighting, and he, of course, had that very disappointing episode where he was supposed to fight on Showtime against Hector Camacho Jr. That fight got canceled. He read about that on the internet. They did not tell him. He had to find out that way. Here he is back, so tell us about the training he had to do to get ready and psyched and ready for his opponent.
Well, when you train really hard, you're looking forward to a really, really great payday on Showtime with Hector Camacho, and then they pull the rug out from you, and they don't even tell you properly, and they don't even give you proper reasoning. That's very disheartening. I did actually contact him, and he is working out very, very hard, and he's not doing it locally, which might also be a very, very big plus. He's training in Detroit, Michigan,
right.
Very far away from Brooklyn, New York, and one thing, whenever he goes into the ring, he's always ready. And I have no doubt that he will be ready for a really, really tough fight.
Dmitry Salita, of course, trains in Detroit, and I believe my understanding is at Kronk Gym. That's where a lot of legendary fighters fought. Tommy Hearns, Emmanuel Stewart, may rest in peace. He obviously used to train a lot of fighters there. So that's a good place to be, Detroit. And with the fight with Camacho Jr., after that episode happened, my understanding there were concerns and talks that Dmitry was going to retire. Did you happen to hear that as well? And I'm obviously, thank God, it looks like he's not going to. But how close do you think he was to retiring?
I thought he was very close to retiring. He was really, really disgusted. He did. I don't want to say he badmouthed anybody, but he wasn't very complimentary, saying thank you very much for canceling my fight and,
right.
and not even telling me properly. But he was very, very upset, and rightfully upset. The upcoming fight, he's 31 years old, which is
right.
getting towards the twilight of one's career. So this is going to be a really, really big fight in the crossroads between Dmitry and Gabriel Tito Procero. It should be a very, very good fight.
Yeah, my understanding, part of the reason why he was so close to retirement is he's 31 years old, as he mentioned. He's married, has a family, and he said, I can't just keep working for nothing. I have to support a family, and it looked like that he was going to leave. But here he's going to fight again. He also has a promotion company. Will his promotion company be promoting the fight as well?
I know it's going to be an Aviator. I believe it might be promoting him.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that, but it's the match can be it's a very good match. A lot of his fights, like you would pick, a lot of times lesser opponents. This is really, I think, a really tough match. Tito Procero is also like 32 years old. He also has a fantastic record: 22 wins, 1 draw, and 1 loss. So, Dmitry is 35, 1-1. So Dmitry has a better record, but if you're 22-1, that's a worthy opponent. And as far as a home field advantage, even though the fight's going to be in Brooklyn, Tito Procero's also from Brooklyn.
There you go.
So he's going to have his friends there rooting him on just as well as Dmitry Salita.
Yeah, it'll be a Brooklyn brawl. And in the past, right, Dmitry has picked sometimes lesser opponents. He had a year where he fought 4 times, so he needed some opponents that he felt comfortable with, and he obviously had the home field advantage. But this time, there won't be a home field advantage. When does the fight take place?
It's going to be November 9th.
Okay.
So it's still a couple of weeks away. But the interesting part, that they both have very, very good records. They're both in the crossroads. And I don't want to say the twilight of their careers, but, getting along in age. So whoever loses this fight will really take a turn for the worse.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really negative that I could say about Tito Procero is that he only, out of the 22 wins, he has 4 knockouts. And Dmitry, in his 35 wins, he has 18 KOs. So, so in that advantage goes really to Dmitry. I think that's a very, very big advantage that Tito doesn't have that knockout punch and he goes the distance, but he doesn't finish off a fighter. So it's going to be a tough fight for both fighters.
And as you mentioned that at this point, because of the age, if they lose, the turn goes for the worse. I mean, obviously we hope Dmitry wins, but if he were to lose, do you think that would be it? And do you think he would retire?
It's always another payday on the horizon. Whenever you get that other payday and you have another fight that you can make some money, a person retires and they say, oh, I'm never going to do that again. I've had enough. And then You feel bad, like, you have that in baseball. Andy Pettitte retired, he came back.
Right.
This guy retires, he came back. You have that in other sports, especially in boxing. It's such a tough night. It's so hard to train, and then when you train, it could be over in 15 minutes, it could be over in an hour. You could win, you could lose. You think you won, but you lost, so you get disgusted, you retire, but then you think about it, what am I going to do the rest of my life? Let me go out as a winner. Let me try again. So, I don't think it's going to be the end for either boxer, but, time will tell on that.
All right. And Radio Mike, thank you for coming on Louis Live here on TLV1. Enjoy the fight. I'm sure you'll be there. We'll have to talk to you, obviously, after the fight to see how it went. And Dimitri, we trust you are listening, so good luck to you. God bless you. We expect a victory, and we expect you to continue your career in boxing. So thank you, Radio Mike, as well.
Yes.
All right, Radio.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll see you soon in Israel. Mizrah Hashem.
Yes. Can't wait.
All right. Radio Mike here on TLV1. Okay, folks, that's going to conclude our show for today. I want to thank Lior Peleg here, who is to my right, operating all the computer equipment, and, of course, Maya, the lovely Maya, taking pictures of me, so hopefully the pictures will come out pretty soon. We want to thank our guest, of course, David Dewey Pick, talking about Maccabi Tel Aviv winning the Cup, Sylvan Landisburg scoring 21 points, Big Mike Gondelman saying the Jerusalem Kings will have a good year. He didn't guarantee it, but he still happened. Alan Shlomo Veingrad did not come on right away. We had Sports Rabbi talk about Israel golf, saying they're on a great level. Alan Shlomo Veingrad then came on at half past the hour, talking about being a Super Bowl champion, and he's a fan of my show, so that's always good. Mark Gordon and David Z. Harris live from Ramat Stadium saying Israel will win 1-0 or 2-0 against the Ireland Ball Club, but the Israeli fans don't really seem to care at all. And Radio Mike talking about Dimitri Salita's next fight, which will be November 9th. So everyone should check that out. Dimitri Salita, God bless you. Hope you pull that off. Stay tuned for a lot of great programming and a lot of great stuff. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.
שלי, שטויות. אותה דברי פתיחה, אותה בדיחה. אותו החיוך שנראה כמו לכלוך. אולי תעשה טובה ותצא מהתמונה. אורות כחולים הציפו עיר והוא דופק את התשדיר. רב על מסך הטלוויזיה שלי. רב על מסך הטלוויזיה שלי. רב על מסך הטלוויזיה שלי. אפילו שזה טוב, כמה שזה רע, מסך הטלוויזיה הנורא. אפילו שזה טוב, כמה שזה רע, מסך הטלוויזיה הנורא.
מעל מסך הטלוויזיה שלי